Alright, Jack Trade here. Today I'm going to talk about my 4 favorite movies. I want you guys to keep in mind that it is my opinion, so therefore the order might not suit you indefinitely. That being said, my first favorite movie is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, written and directed by Milos Forman, with the starring actor being Jack Nicholson. That being said, my second favorite movie is Psycho, written by and directed by Alfred Hitchcock. That being said, I want you guys to know I do understand Psycho is an amazing film. I have to agree with that. It is by far one of the greatest films ever to be portrayed, written, and directed. It's the first movie that really took into consideration how would you see, it moved the camera rather than moving the people. And I understand that, and it led way into so many movies being able to do that. For example, I talked so highly about Avengers. A lot of those scenes where it pans the camera around and you can see all the characters, those were invented, those were stylings by Alfred Hitchcock. And trust me, I get it, and I do love the movie. That's why it's so high up on my list. The problem is, I'm not a horror fan. I'm sorry, I know like people are gonna be like, "Ooh, you bad, you," but I'm not that big into horror films in general. That being said, I put One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest a little bit higher. I mean, if I had to say, it is like that close of a sliver, like how high I see these two movies. And that being said, I want to give some backstory. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a story about a guy who gets into deep trouble with the cops and the law. So he thinks it would be smart for him to just plead insanity, because he can plead insanity, be insane for a few weeks, and then be cured all of a sudden. It's ingenious. What could go wrong? Well, here's the thing. Written in 1975, this movie came out, it was written in 1973, I think, but it came out in 1975. And it kind of made us think, once again, what is really normal? Because what happens in the movie, for those of you that don't know, basically he goes through this scheme, and when it comes time for him to get out of the insane asylum, he begins to act what he sees as normal. Well, the doctors end up deciding that he's still insane. So even though he's acting like a normal person, he's doing what a normal person would do, they see him as insane, which kind of brings us new light to what is normal. What do we know is to be normal versus what isn't normal? And I think that's really what gets me, is this movie just speaks numbers, because we don't know what's normal. We don't know what would happen if we were put into this situation. And I enjoy that. I prefer my movies to be more, psychological warfare, I guess. I like those type of movies rather than, like I said, I'm not a huge horror fan. But that being said, brings us to our number 2 pick, which is Psycho. And Psycho is, once again, an amazing film. It came out in 1960, which led way to many films just copying his style of, moving the camera, telling the story using the camera rather than the characters. And that really helped to make movies better. Instead of, sitting, he created the device where instead of the camera sitting at a set angle, it would pivot so that they can follow the characters. He set up these really immaculate scenes. Like, there's one where it's like pointing upwards up the stairs, and you see it follows the foot, but it never shows you who it is, and that is amazing. And it really does do well. I mean, movies. I think there was another movie. it's another horror movie that came out like 15 years afterwards as well, around the same time as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where the story basically is this girl thinks her babysitter is trying to steal her father from her, and she's already lost her mom and her dad and her sister. She doesn't want to lose her dad as well, so she ends up killing the babysitter. Well, then you get to see this quick flash by where it's like what really happened, and what actually happened was where she thought that the babysitter set up this elaborate scheme to kill her mom and her sister. It was actually her accidentally setting the house on fire. And she did not want to accept internally that she could have been the reason her mom and her sister died. So it kind of brings that psych into us. And that movie was amazing, the original version of it. Well, we just recently, like, I want to say about 10 years ago, got, no, it was a little bit earlier, at the 7 or 5 years ago, we got another version of it, and trust me, that was not as good, not nearly as good. But I mean, you really can't complain because one was inspired by this kind of immaculate, film work, whereas the other one came out when it was kind of a norm. And the one, every turn you're terrified, whereas the new one, I kind of felt like it lost that. Like, I wasn't afraid even once. But then again, I'm a hard person to scare anyways. Like, that's why I don't like horror films, because I don't jump. A part of that is because my brother used to force me to watch horror films and sci-fi and all those, like, cheesy things as well. Like, I think we once watched it was like Attack of Mothra. And it's like really cheesy work, but yeah, he would make us, he would make me watch it, and it was a little bit mean, but in the end, it got to the point where I'm just not afraid of, like, monsters don't scare me. I'm not, those type of things, they don't bother me. I can go through anything and just, if it makes me jump, I can expect somebody else probably peed themselves. So that's pretty much how that is. That being said, my third favorite movie, I've already expressed. I loved Psycho as my number 2, and I loved One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as my number 1. It's another old one, guys. It's Citizens Kane. I don't know what to say about this movie. It's just an all-around amazing piece of work, and I guess the only thing I can say that I can't say anything that would do justice to this movie, or I tried to do justice to the other two, but there's not much you can say about any of these movies that'll do justice to them, other than that they're really good. And I mean, Citizens Kane, just as good as the other two. Like I said, these are all movies that are just so close. I said 4 favorite movies. I'm gonna let you know what my 5th one is, and I'll explain why it didn't make it on, but that'll be after I tell you what my 4th is. My 4th favorite movie is and it's more like a scene, I should say. My 4th favorite scene of a movie is To Kill a Mockingbird. And the reason why I say it's more like a scene is because the whole movie is pretty good. It's not really a bad film. But there's one scene that really put it over the top of my number 5 choice, which is where the main character's father is defending well, I mean, I don't know how to say this other than it's a black man. It's set in the time where racism is still really strong in the United States, and at the time, black people and white people weren't allowed to intermarriage, those type of things. I think it was also like it was, I want to say during the time, it was said during the time where like we're kind of transitioning into, that kind of like schools are supposed to transverse and different races are able to work together and whatnot. And it's very controversial, which is one thing that I think I really do like about it. And he chooses to defend the black man, which I love. I think that's the greatest thing because I'm not racist. I'm one of those people. I don't understand how you can hate somebody for being different. That our whole society is based on different people. Like, that's how we do things. So for me, I don't understand. But of course, I'm from the East Coast, so we're kind of accepting of that anyways. But and yeah, it's one of those things where I love this scene because you don't even have to watch it. Just look it up. It's the trial scene from To Kill a Mockingbird. You can probably find it on YouTube or something. And honestly, you don't need to watch it. Just hear the inspiration in his voice. It's like the actor was just like, yeah, I can feel this, and he lets it out, and it is an amazing scene. I mean, watching it just puts it over the top for me, and I think that's why I put it so high on my list, which brings me to my number 5 choice, which is Casablanca. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, that's an American classic, like you have to put that higher than To Kill a Mockingbird. Well, they're essentially all my favorites are American classics because they are just that good. If you start asking me past 5, you'll get, other answers that aren't necessarily American classics. But other than that, these are like my top 5. They're, I can watch them a million times. I mean, I think, these are the ones that no matter how many times you look at them, you'll find something new, and they will bring you back to them, and that's what I like. So I put Casablanca a little bit lower because well, honestly, it's that one scene it's just so good, and I was almost tempted to put it above Citizen Kane, but then I was like, Citizen Kane is just like an almost perfect movie. I mean, Psycho is a perfect movie, and I put that lower than One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I mean, you're looking at my top 5 in general are really, really good movies, and there's not much difference that you could do. I mean, honestly, guys, it was tough to make this group of 5, and it works. That's my opinion. What I would call in that order, what are my favorites. I'm sorry this was more of a serious one right now, but like I said, there's going to be some serious ones. There's going to be some joking going around on certain reviews, but this one was a serious one. I was requested to explain why they're my favorite, and I feel like I did them justice. Seriously, guys, check them out. You've got, first of all, go into any theater, whatever you want to, like, find the movies, rent them, buy them, I don't care. Check them out. They're amazing. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, must see. Psycho, you gotta go see, you guys. It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Trust me, it is well worth it. There is nothing that I can say other than that. Just look those two up. Citizens Kane, if you've never seen it, go look it up because it is an American classic and it is good. To Kill a Mockingbird, like I said, if you can't watch the whole movie, if you feel like you hated the book and you really want to see the movie, you really don't want to see the movie, look up the scene and you'll see what I mean. Like, it is an amazing scene alone, and it just pushes the movie to beyond standards of normal moviegoers. And even Casablanca, you guys, if you've never seen Casablanca, go check it out because that's just how it is. So that's all I have to say. So Jack Trade out.